Chisholm City Council meeting, January 22nd, 2025 at 5:30 p.m. Susan, would you please take roll call?
Councillor Halliburton?
Present.
Councillor Cotton? Here. Councillor Baki?
Here.
Councillor Varga?
Here.
Councillor Halverson?
Present.
Mayor Lang?
Here. Okay, Council, I would look for a motion to adopt the agenda. There's one change, and that's going to be April will be taking over Katie's 2 items. And that should be it. Thank you, Travis. Thank you, Jeb. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Pledge allegiance, if you would.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Councilor Olive, is there any public participation over there?
No, Mayor.
All right, we'll start with council reports. Councilor Halverson, good evening.
No report.
Councilor Varda, good evening.
Good evening. Just a short report. I did attend my first fire department meeting as their liaison, and unfortunately, I left my notes at home. So, no, not really any report.
Thank you. Councilor Baki, good evening.
Good evening. Just a couple of things. I mentioned last meeting that the chamber was in the process of hiring a new executive director. That has happened, and I am so happy that Shelley Lappy has taken that role. So she is the new chamber executive director, and we are very excited as a chamber board for her. She's going to do an amazing job. So more to come. Polar Bear Days is right around the corner. So also, last time I talked about the Community Foundation, and the new administrative assistant is Jessica Garner. That is official, and we have a meet and greet with Jessica and the rest of the CCF board on Wednesday, February 12th from 4 to 5:30. So come and meet our new administrative assistant, say thank you to MJ for all that she did. And also regarding the CCF, the grant window is currently open for the first grant cycle for the CCF that closes on March 31st. And finally, winter homecoming starts next week at the high school. Next Friday is our kickoff, Hat and Jersey Day on January 31st. And that runs through the following Friday, February 7th. That's all I got.
Thank you. Councilor Fulton, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. I have no report tonight, except for all the research for our working session.
Excellent. Councilor Oliva, good evening.
Good evening. I attended a Public Utilities Commission meeting, the Sanitary Sewer District meeting, and I had to reschedule our community garden meeting from last Monday due to the inclement weather. It'll be next Monday, January 27th at 5:30 at Baptist Church.
Thank you. And I have no report. Ambulance Director.
Good evening. Just a couple, last year, a little update. Last year we managed 1,002 ambulance reports that we wrote. Record breaking for September, 109 calls in 1 month. That was the first ever. And then in other updates, we have a new radios in service. We thank the PD for all the hard work on that one. Medic 3 is in service as of last night, so you'll see that one around town quite a bit more. We also have done our first intercept. We did the intercept agreement with Cook recently, and this past week we were able to actually intercept and assist, so that was super nice, good timing. Sent a couple people down to the EMS conference at Arrowhead, so they went and did some of the classes, including myself. That was really good for the service and the area. Our Medic 2 replacement that we approved the order on, we're already scheduling meetings and have had our first change order, so that's well underway. And thank you to the Chisholm schools for inviting me to come and visit some of the classes and talk about a day of life of EMS and opportunities that exist from that. So that's all. That's awesome. Any questions?
Thank you, Tiff.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Fire chief. I didn't know still Tiff was well underway. You want to move that microphone up towards thank you.
So, kind of like the ambulance, we're setting records we really don't want to be setting, but we had a record 221 calls last year. I think that's about 30 up from our last busiest year. But all went well. Obviously, with that a busy year, moving in the public safety building and everything else, I'd like to extend my thanks out to my firefighters. They did a great job. They all stepped up. They all took extra stuff on. A lot of moving parts. A couple other quick notes with the cold weather. If you're running an electric heater, run it to the manufacturer's specifications. Watch how you're plugging it into and what you're plugging it into. And public parking, watch where you're parking on the streets. Try to be aware of that. You don't look at it. See if someone, you want to make sure you can't get these emergency service vehicles down the road. And other than that, do you have any questions from our side? Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Police chief.
My annual report's not done yet, so I have no idea what our reports are. So no reporting at this time.
City building official, zoning administrator. City engineer.
I have no report.
Public works supervisor.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a small report. It is cold. It has been a little cold. We got a little taste of the 30 belows again. We haven't had that in probably a couple of years. I don't remember that last year at all. Maybe 20 for a few days. I'm starting to get questions about frost in the ground. There's still not even 4 feet of frost. And that little bit of snow cover really did its job. So we don't have anyone on running water, nor should you be on running water. If you feel that you need to be on running water, there won't be any credit on your bill or anything like that. And we're way in front of that yet, so which is good. So we did have two water breaks right now that are active. They're turned way down, so we're just waiting for the weather to come around. You just can't. It's just too much. Today we probably would have fixed one, but with that 6 inches of snow that wasn't forecasted, we were on that right away, and we'll clean that up tomorrow, and then we'll get at least one water break. I think we'll do the Vaughn tomorrow. Down by the Vaughn, there's one. So it'll just be one block out of service for the day, and should be good there. We can say we should have everything all cleaned up and the snowbank's gone for the weekend, and it's been busy and cold, and we'll get through it. Yeah. So unless you have anything for me.
Thank you, Larry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
City parks, trails, rec director.
No report.
Library supervisor. City attorney.
Good afternoon, Mayor. No formal report, but I am happy to field questions if it comes on us.
Clerk treasurer.
I just like to update everybody of what I've been working on. 1099s got to be issued by the end of the month. Working with Bonnie on that, and so me and Misty are working on prepping what needs to go to her for that. Updated the budget report to the state website and also the lobbying report. There's 2 other reports that I need done by January 30th. Those will be done by the end of the week. And other than that, that's really all I got, unless anybody has any questions.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
City administrator. Good evening.
Good evening. Just a quick update. Bridget and I attended the Greater Minnesota Parks and Trails Commission meeting yesterday in St. Cloud. As you know, we're looking for that designation and still working through that process. A lot of valuable information. People from all over the state were at that meeting.
Excellent. Any questions for the administrator? Okay, move on to the consent agenda, which consists of a list of bills, communications, minutes of previous city council meetings, and payroll and overtime.
Make a motion.
Thank you, Jed.
Support.
Thank you, Jim. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Any unfinished business? None. Moving on to new business. Mr. Johnson, good evening.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. If you would turn to page 21, please, is my request for council action that I think details what we're looking at, and on page 22 you actually see the actual change order. This at the Jim Bertzel property, which is at that northwest quadrant, actually at 6th Street and 1st Avenue Southeast. We put in a new water main, new sanitary sewer in that alley to which he is connected. And between the water main and his home is a garage, big concrete patio, and so forth. And as a result, we had to directionally drill rather than moving a garage in that one. And so following that, then you see the details, the breakdown. Larry and his crews were there as part of this 2-day project as well. And what you see then is that the total of the invoices from our contractor on that, as you see on page 22 in the right-hand column, was $23,158. But we are receiving a credit of a bid item that we had a lot more 1-inch service line that was going to be, we thought, on the private property or additional services even within our public right-of-way that gives us a credit of $22,360. So the net increase, as you see, is $798. That cost is going to be fully reimbursable through that lead service line grant program that we'll be applying for. And so this whole $23,158 plus the city, Larry, working with Devin and Misty, put together the hours of our city crews, which totaled, let's see, I got a quick look. We had 24 hours of employee time plus 12 hours on our back truck. So there's actually an additional cost on this whole thing, but it's not to the contractor. This is force account work done by city crews. Amounts to just under another $2,636. That will be part of our reimbursement request as well when we get to that point. But unless you have additional questions that I would be happy to try and answer for you, I would recommend approval of change order number 3 in the net amount of $798. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Make that motion.
Thank you, April. Second. Thank you, Marty. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. And then if you'll turn to pages 28 and 29, you see pay application number 10 on that 5th Street South project. And as you look at the detail on pages 30 and 31, you'll see the additional costs that we're paying tonight are for the balance of mobilization costs, traffic control, one additional 12-inch apron that was missed previously. And then it's also paying, as the last item there on page 31, under the base bid, paying for change order number 2, which was that adjustment in the height of that lift station that we needed to do to make that compatible with what we hope to develop as properties. So turning back page 29, if you will, you see the work completed to date amounts to $2,233,129.43, which constitutes about 98% of our contract. The only thing we have left is a little bit of sodding and that final wearing course surface next spring. From that, as you see in number 7 there, is the retainage of 5% amounting to $111,656.47, less the previous payments of $2,061,218.93, leaving a balance due on this pay application of $60,254.03. I would recommend that for your approval, and I would be happy to answer any questions if I can. Thank you.
Council, unless there's any questions, I'll look for a motion to approve.
I just have one question.
Sure.
Does TNT do the blacktopping themselves, or do they bring somebody else?
No, that was subcontracted to Masabi Bituminous.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Mr. I have one question. Where was the apron that was missed?
It was just in the quantities that they had done before. I'm not sure just where that particular one is at, Judd.
Okay. Was it missed by engineering or?
It's not a change order or anything like that. It was just when they were compiling quantities that they had missed one that was actually put in originally. It's not added on or anything of that nature, Judd.
Okay.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Council, look for a motion to approve pay application number 10.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Jim.
Second.
Thank you, Marty. I think by Robert's rules, this is where we get into the discussion part where we ask questions. So maybe we can work on getting back to that too. So let's kind of roll through those a little quicker. There's no further discussion on the. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Mary Lynn. If you'll turn to page 33, and following is the feasibility report for our 2025 infrastructure improvement or replacement projects. I received this. We've got the consultant under a tight deadline just so I can get this hopefully bid in March. And when I received it for the first time last week, I immediately had sticker shock and started making some calls because my estimate on this that I've been using for funding is just under $1.9 million, and this is about $4.8 million. Fortunately, I made some calls at that point, but in follow-up, we actually met with the school, Mark Morrison, today, and then Ingenza contractor on that project for the school at 11 o'clock this morning, and then at 1 o'clock we met with the administrator and maintenance supervisor up at Heritage Manor to clarify a few situations. And then I met with the consultant this afternoon and went through where we had differences of what the vision of the project. There's a lot more that they had in there in sanitary sewer. It was like connections that they were seeing, the televising reports where when those were built back in the 1900s, there was a service put to every 25-foot lot. So you had 16 services to the north, 16 services to the south, and they were assuming they were going to actually have to put the connection back in there and then maybe cap it rather than extending it. So, and there's some other components. They were anticipating a lot more storm sewer construction and those types of things. So what I had them doing, I went through this morning and this afternoon, put together my comparison of quantities and so forth. They have that information now. Like I said, we met with them in detail this afternoon, and that they promised me within the next week that they will have the revised, updated quantities and costs to us. The important thing tonight, for my purposes, though, if you need to put it off, the real thing that I'm wanting to meet is our requirements under the public assessment process, that we don't delay that, but we've got a little bit of time, such as if we need to, if you want to wait till we have the updated costs and so forth. I would hope we could do that before your first meeting in February, but our important thing is making sure we can get the legal notices to the paper and to the citizens in advance, such that we can still hold that public hearing, the informational hearing on the 19th of February and the public hearing before your second council meeting on the 26th of March, such that we can bid the project in March. Even if we would have to postpone the public hearing for 2 weeks, that I don't think we'll need to do, that doesn't create a crimp, but because of the calendar and so forth, it would put our bidding, rather than being that mid to end of part of March, you'd put us into your first meeting in May. And by that point, we're going to be paying higher prices, but it's extremely critical because in our conversation with the school today, our specifications are going to require that project may be able to start if the contractors over there in the school agree. We might be able to start before Memorial Day, but it needs to be completed by Labor Day. So there's going to be an intermediate substantial completion date on that particular project. And so my hope is that we can move forward with this public hearing so that we can keep the bidding on schedule. That then we got April to get the contracts signed for them to order materials so they're on available and ready to be installed. Hopefully starting as soon as the weather breaks, either on Heritage Manor or down at the school, whether it's the middle of April, the 1st of May, middle of May. If Larry keeps having quite weather like this, it might be July 1, but we have to live with that. So with that, if you can approve this tonight, fine. If not, we'll just need to handle it as soon as possible next week after I get that information to you with that updated. But I'm expecting to be right in the neighborhood of about $2 million total project cost. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
All right, Council, I imagine there's gonna be quite a few questions and probably some discussion on this. So for now, if I could look for a motion to approve resolution 0125-14.
Motion.
Thank you, Jed. Thank you, Jim. No further discussion. No, tonight, if we do approve this, we are just approving the feasibility. All right, so we're not locked
really
in to a project.
We're not locked into a cost, is what it amounts to. It's really the most important thing to me is just getting the public hearing is really the real statutes, part of the statutes that we need to comply with. And Brian's probably more appropriate to respond to that, but so just so we can give proper notice, publish it when we need to, and get the notices out to the public. And even if that's delayed 2 weeks, that we can still meet the those deadlines. But you're not really approving the project actually until you approve bids on the project. So it's just to get better and more concise, more accurate information as to what that cost is.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, yeah, my first question is, do you really think you're going to be able to shave $3 million off of this?
Yes.
Where does that come from?
Basically because of the quantities and what they assumed and what's reality, the way we construct them, Marty. For a feasibility study, if you look at that list is very detailed for a feasibility. Usually you don't become that detailed with that many bid items until you get to the actual bidding process. Quite frankly, what we paid last year was about $800 per foot for complete infrastructure replacement, not including the lift station force main, which isn't typical. And I use that same number to cover construction costs plus overhead when I came up with my $1.88 million that you've been seeing in the 5-year capital improvement program. And that's usually, it's the higher level look at this until we get into. And even as we talked with the high school and with Heritage Manor today, there were some changes that we know are going to be made to what we were thinking would be in that feasibility. They're not major or anything, but we're trying to tie down utility locations, talking about street width in terms of parking requirements and so forth. So, but the quantities were such, yes, Marty, that I'm quite confident, unless there's a substantial change in cost, but I don't expect to be significant cost increase from last year. Of what we saw.
So you feel 1.8, 1.9 is
That's
good for both of these projects?
Yes.
Okay. So
because you see in our Fifth Street South project, you see that contract, including the lift station and so forth, was what 2.227 or something like that. So I expect it to be in that same ballpark, and hopefully a little bit less because we don't have the lift station or force main.
So I wonder if you could refresh me too, when we did our budget, why we only budgeted for Fifth Street for 1.8.
I can speak on that actually. So that was actually budgeted for both of it. It was just in that fund when Devin made that fund. He just put history.
Okay.
Yeah, right. So that we can adjust it.
We can change that.
If I remember right, Marty, what I had them broken down, one of the projects was 1,080,000, and the other one was 800,000. Where I came up with my 1.88.
Okay, I do recall that. Thank you. Finally, what is this extra red line on the map? I thought we were just doing the streets. You got a line going through the woods. Tying into
That's that existing 7-inch water main that dates back to the early 1900s. We became aware that when we did the Lakeview addition, we got actually a cross right at that intersection with the stub out to the north, Marty. And that's been there for years, and we can't even get parts for it. And it actually starts from what Lynn has told me from Butch, is it actually starts there just to the east of 3rd Avenue. So we think it's 7-inch from that point. And what we want to do is complete that loop.
So it's replacing
Replacing
a
an
water
existing.
main that's just for looping from one part of town to the other?
Yes.
So what is the assessment policy for just replacing a water main? Can anybody answer?
There's actually nobody being assessed for just that 7-inch water main, Marty.
Okay.
It's not benefiting anybody at this point, other than the city circulation distribution system.
Well, I'd be fine approving this as long as we can stay within our budget or close to it. I mean, there's always 10, 20% depending on a lot of things, but we certainly can't approve $3 million that we don't have.
No, I know we don't have a project at that
Yeah,
point.
we don't have a project at that point, or we just have to
Shave it back.
focus on Fifth Street only because that's top priority, I feel.
Mhm.
I think everybody agrees that has to be done with the school.
Yep.
Priority, so.
All right, well, as long as we're not locking in anything, I don't see why there's any reason not to approve this.
I have a question.
Yep. Sorry, Jim.
As far as the bids coming in, are you and the city hoping for one contractor or multiple to do each
No.
job?
One contractor.
Okay.
At least that's our thought at this point, Jim.
Okay. One question I have.
Any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Well, thank you.
Carries. Thank you,
Thanks,
Jim.
Jim.
Larry.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Couple formalities to jump through. You're all aware of the vacancy in the water sewer utility position. Administrator Scraba nicely accepted my request to be on the hiring committee. And generally speaking, what we've done in the past is we've, the council's assigned Stephanie and I, and then anybody else that we choose to join us from the staff. And this is the water sewer utility person works with those various departments. So we're looking at bringing in a couple of the union staff, the leads there, and just kind of help facilitate through the process. And they can pick through some of the things that I don't even maybe know within the trade. So with that, I'd be asking for council approval to assign myself and Administrator Scraba to that hiring committee of the water sewer utility person.
And any others as needed.
Please.
All right, look for that motion.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Jim.
Support.
Thank you, Travis. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. And then we had more talks about it in budget meetings, but we'd be looking for council approval of the memorandum of understanding with the ASME union for the position of the janitor custodian, or to move from part-time to full-time, with the terms laid out within that MOU, including the 6-month trial period.
Yeah. Council, I look for a motion and support for the motion of understanding for the full-time janitor position.
Motion.
Thank you, Jed.
Second.
Is that Jim? Yep. Thank you, Jim. Discussion?
I do like how you laid out certain criteria.
Stephanie would be the thing for that.
So I appreciate that. Thank you.
And I shared that as well, April.
All those in favor?
Oh, so is this for the person that's currently doing the job?
Yep. So the next council is to post internally.
Okay. This
Yep.
isn't somebody else coming in.
Right.
Oh,
This is post internally.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Can I ask the name of the person? I don't know who that is.
I think so.
Yeah, Terry.
Yeah, Terry Charter.
Oh,
She's
okay.
our current
Yeah.
part-time.
Yep.
All right, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And then, so that was the MOU. And
Job description?
yep, job description is the next one, and the edits are highlighted there.
Council, I'll look for a motion to approve the custodian janitor job description.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Marty.
Support.
Thank you, Jim. Any further discussion?
I have one question, Mr. Mayor.
Yep.
Does it make sense to take the fire extinguishers and AED checks and move like the fire department or something off this job description?
So those, I'm sorry.
No, I was saying, I imagine they're all over the city.
I was
Right?
going to say those are currently in the building and parks maintenance position. So that would be, we were just shifting that duty for this full-time position. So it was within the public works department prior. So we were just, it just made more sense if this was going to go full-time.
But how long does it take to do that?
So the one of the reasons we moved it here was that with this new full-time position, there's going to be building checks and sign-offs, just like if you were to go to a holiday and they got that on the wall there, what time it was serviced and such, that this person's already there. They're doing the work. They're making sure it's clean. If there was visitors or a meeting, they'll clean up after a meeting. And then so they would be doing the building checks and while they're there, efficiently doing the AEDs and the fire extinguisher same time.
Okay.
Yep. So if she was already there or that person was already there, and then we asked someone from the fire department per se, it's really just doubling up the work.
Okay.
So when it talks about assigned buildings, that could just mean any building, library, city hall, campground.
Yep.
Public works.
Yep.
Public safety.
Yeah, there could be
anything the city has.
Yep.
Under your direction.
Yep.
Okay. I just wondered. It just wasn't that clear.
Yeah,
I was just,
absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you.
Splash pad, bocce bathroom, summer, campground.
There's a lot.
Yeah, there is a lot.
Any other questions or discussion?
Is 40 hours enough for that one person?
Yes.
That's why we got to do it efficiently.
Yeah.
No second trips. Do it right the first time.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Then lastly for that is that the posting internally for that position.
Council, look for the motion.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Travis.
Support.
Thank you, Jim. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, everyone, getting through the formalities there. So this was a fun one with Administrator Scraba's emergency spending powers. We had to replace a raw water pump at our raw water station. These pumps are new in 2020. They both failed in the same year. It was the first my winter here as an employee, so that was exciting. They're not supposed to fail this quick, and this one broke the coupling between the motor and the pump. Trying to give you some highlights, I guess. We've never had a spare pump before. It's a big job. It takes us a whole day to do it. We have to rent a big excavator. It's a big 10-inch line. It's 575 feet long, and the pump is almost 12 feet long, and it bolts to the end of this, and then the big excavator pushes it down into a casement and down into a pit. So 600 feet, it's about 250 feet in the water, we believe. So it's very clean, dark water, very cold. Even at the year-round, our water is between 40 and 50 degrees. So kids at the splash pad, if they're shivering a little bit and it's an 80-degree day, the water's 50 degrees, so it's cool. So, but fun fact I'd like to share is, and it's wrong in the council. I caught it; it was wrong. So this pump, only 5 years old, 5,500 hours. It's pumped 1/3 of a billion gallons. Wow. And it's expected to pump at least 1 billion, at least, with full life of the pump is over 1 billion gallons. So this one, after 5 years, just broke the coupling, but it's such a big job. When you pull it out, you put a brand new one in, and ours that is being serviced, put back in, we'll have a spare pump. We've never had a spare pump before when it cost $40,000. You just don't have them sitting on the shelf. So the vendor was available to come with a service truck and 2 workers, and then with the impending weather and then not having a spare pump, now we will have this spare pump as well. So with that, I didn't spell it out very well briefly in the council request. So I guess the council, we may making council request to support the emergency replacement of pump number 1 using road machinery supply for the rental of an excavator for $7,554. And then that Elsner pump or well and pump, $43,000 $71.50. Yeah, oh yeah, PUC supported as well at their meeting. I believe it was on the 15th. So just looking for council support of the project.
So that's gonna be a total of $50,625, right?
Thank you, Mayor.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Jim.
Support.
Thank you, Jed. Any further discussion?
Hey, Larry,
Yes.
did you say that pump is 12 feet long?
The pump motor, yep.
Where's it going to be stored, this extra water?
Yeah, it'll be on a cart. It'll be in the cart in the water plant.
Oh.
Yeah. It's heavy.
I have a question.
Yep.
Larry, how old did you say this pump was? Just
5 years
5
old.
years
It's
old?
$5,500.
Would our insurance cover that?
It wasn't an event like our insurance would have to be like a tree fell on it or something hit the building or something like that. It was just a premature equipment failure, I'd say, just like a vehicle. You think you can go 100,000 miles with a vehicle and you shouldn't get a check engine light. Well, sometimes at 10,000 mile, whatever, you blow an engine. Everything mechanical fails eventually, and this one was just premature. So
No warranty then?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, coupling. Yeah.
Okay. Hey, Susan, would you please just note that the total amount was $50,625.50. $50,625.50. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
All right, one last one, and then I'll be done and move on from that. So, with that said, that we should get 1 billion gallons of water out of the pump, and it failed prematurely. The manufacturer is highly recommending soft starts, and what a soft start is, it ramps up slowly. Jed would know, Marty would know, Adam and such. There, the motor right now, it's 100 horsepower pump, and it hits all 100 horsepower instantly, and it's pumping. Now the soft start ramps it up slowly, and we believe that this will get us our 1 billion gallons or more out of these pumps. So it's a small investment. Ryan at Independent Electric in town can do the work. $4,900 per pump, so 2, and we believe it'll save the pumps from this ever happening again. Really, so. I do have the plans and specs, thanks to Jim, from 1983 when this was when it was engineered and put into service. And I don't believe there was soft starts in 1983. I believe it's newer technology. So this is for sure an upgrade, and manufacturer recommended.
The council, I'd look for a motion and support for upgrading the water pumps with soft starts for a total amount of $9,800.
Make the motion.
Thank you, Marty.
Second.
Thank you, Jim. Any further discussion or questions?
Final comment. I was out there in 2017 and watched those pump starts. I couldn't believe the water hammer.
Yeah, right.
The whole thing moves, and it's back then we used to have VFDs or soft starts. This didn't happen, and this is really good that we're doing this.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marty.
I have a question. Were those pumps that were installed 5 years ago, were they meant to have hard starts?
Either or, I guess. Yeah, it was never a recommendation.
Gallons starting hard.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, So, and really, and just to sum up what happened between that big long motor and the big long pump, there's a $50 coupling in between the two, and that's what shattered. $50, but it's a huge job to do that job. And like Marty was saying, so if you can imagine this 10-inch line, it's a hard line. It's 1 inch thick, heavy duty poly. And like Marty was saying, it's 575 feet down through a casement into the water, submerged, 250 feet. And when it jumps when it comes on. So it's amazing what Marty said. And like now with the soft start, the pipe won't move. You won't hear the water, nothing. It'll just flow nice and easy. So thank you, Marty.
And Mr. Mayor, too, like where I work, we have giant pumps too, and they've slowly upgraded all our equipment to that too, so it's a lot easier on like couplings, pumps, and so.
Would you guys want to pull my microphone just a little closer to you too? I heard the message already. I can't hear on that side. Appreciate it. Thank you. Any other discussion or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
All right, next.
Good
Park
evening.
Trails Rec Director Bridget.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. On page 71, I am asking for approval in resolution 0125-15 to make application to T-Mobile Hometown Grant for Longyear Lake Park in the amount of $50,000.
Hi, Council. I'd look for motion and support for resolution 0125-15.
Support or motion.
Thank you, Jim.
Sorry.
Second.
Thank you, Jed. Any further discussion or questions? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. The next resolution is 0125-16, authorizing to make application to IRRR Culture and Tourism in the amount of $30,000 for Longyear Lake Park.
Council, I'll look for a motion and support for resolution 0125-16.
Motion.
Thank you, Travis. Thank you, April. Any further discussion? All those,
One item. Back when Tammy was still here, her and I and Jim went up there and we kind of came up with a scope, and we actually had this in a bid package, the repaving, when we were doing a mill overlay, but we were over budget, so that was one that got removed. So you could probably revisit that to help when you finally get into the final planning stages. As a reference.
Was that the basketball courts?
Yeah, the tennis courts and basketball courts up at the Longyear Lake Park.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on, Councilor Foden.
Good evening. So Library Supervisor Katie Christensen is not here today. So she's looking for approval to adopt resolution to accept a $100 donation from Daniel Swallam and earmark the funds for the Chisholm Public Library. Resolution number 0125-17.
Okay, Council, I'd look for a motion and support.
Motion.
Thank you, Jim.
Support.
Thank you, Jed. Any further discussion? Besides, thank you to Daniel Swallam and a thank you note to go with. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
All right, the next one, she is looking for approval to adopt a resolution number 0125-18 to accept $345 donation from the Chisholm Lunch Bunch and earmark the funds for the Chisholm Public Library.
Thank you. Council, I'll look for a motion. Resolution 0125-18.
Motion.
Thank you, Travis.
Second.
Thank you, Marty. Any further discussion? Besides, thank you and a thank you note to follow. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Clerk Treasurer.
Alright, so I got 3 items. First is the line of credit for the purchase of police cars. We during our budget session, we approved. The idea was to lease 3 vehicles right now, so to get them up front and spread the mileage over the 3. So we went over to First National Bank, and the idea is to this budget session for fiscal year 25, pay for one up front, and then lease the next 2 with the $150,000 loan, and it's going to be secured by the cash that we have sitting at First National Bank. That gets us a lower interest rate. And so on page 80 and 81, that is the letter of commitment from First National Bank. Then on page 82 and 83, this is an amortization schedule, how we'll pay that debt off. It'll basically be interest payments monthly until January of 2026, where we'll make one lump sum payment for like $73,000, or give or take a little bit. And that way, each year we'll hit our budgeted line item like we have been, right around that $70,000 to $75,000 line or amount. Then
we'll make interest payments through 2026, and then in January of 2027, we'll pay that loan off. As we pay down the principal on that loan, we can reduce the amount of cash that's restricted in our checking account. So annually, once we make a payment, we'll do that. Also on page 84, 85, and 86 are the quotes that the police department came for the 3 squads that they would like to purchase. So if there's any questions, I can field any questions. Otherwise, this request to make a motion to move forward with the loan through the bank and purchase of the police cars.
Thank you, Council. I would look for a motion to approve the line of credit.
Motion.
Thank you, Jim.
Second.
Thank you, Jed. Any further discussion?
I just need some clarification tonight.
Sure.
So in order to get that 2.5% interest financing, we just have to pay that first car and then we get the line of credit for 150. Is that what?
So the total cost of the cars is like $213,000.
Okay.
So we have budgeted 70 this year in fiscal year 2025. And so we're just gonna pay that up front towards the cost of the cars, and then the rest will finance, which is just under $150,000. So for the rest of this year, we'll make interest payments.
Right.
And then so next year's fiscal year 26 budget, we'll make another lump sum payment of around $70,000 to $75,000, along with monthly interest payments, and then same for 27.
April, so
What percent are we getting it?
so we're getting 2.5, but in order to get the 2.5, we have to keep $150,000 in the bank.
Okay.
Is that
so
right,
we are
Kevin?
going to get the
Yeah.
2.5.
Yep.
Okay, that's
Right. Oh, sorry.
that's what I needed to know.
Thank you for
I wanted to
clarifying.
make sure. Thank you. Thank you for.
Yep. Absolutely. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Next is page 87, which is the sewer lateral fee. The last council meeting, this amount was an increase because I had to go to the Public Utility Commission. So we did have a meeting, and they approved and recommended to increase the sewer lateral inspection fee from $100 to $150. This is for televising and reviewing sewer laterals for residents that request it.
Awesome. I'll make that motion.
Thank you, April.
Second.
Travis? Thank you, Travis. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Then finally on page 88 is the school district SRO contract. This is a 1-year contract. The previous one was, I think, 3 years with a 2-year extension. The reason why we're going 1 year is because, well, we're halfway through this year already, and the school district hadn't budgeted for it this year. So we basically are just extending it for another year. We're asking for reimbursement of $3,000 a month that we have a full-time SRO at the school, except for the month of December, since with the holidays and everything, it's a short month. So we just cut that amount in half for $1,500. In the event that we can't provide an SRO, we don't bill them. And then if it's a partial month, we just prorate it for however long we have the SRO there. We did discuss with Mark Morrison. He's on board with that and is okay with the fee. Then once this 1-year contract is up, we'll have to sit down this spring and negotiate going forward and really finalize a longer term contract.
Hey, Council, I'll look for a motion of support for the school district SRO contract.
Make the motion.
Thank you, April.
Support.
Thank you, Jim. Any further discussion or any questions? Travis does not understand that.
Does that work on this? No, we're financially.
Mr. Mayor. So we're essentially just covering through May or the end of the school year.
Yeah, 9 months for, well, 8.5, I think it is.
So have we had the SRO there throughout the school year? Oh, we have, okay, all right.
Yeah.
Any further discussion?
Who is the SRO?
Justin Oswald.
Okay. Officer Oswald? So everybody at home gets to hear.
Go ahead.
It's all right. It's all right. You just chill out. Relax. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Devin. Stephanie.
Good evening. The first item I have on the agenda is to approve Resolution 0125-19. That is to make application to IRRR Housing for the Wenton Addition Housing Development. Currently, I'm trying to secure funding for Wenton to be able to go to bid with anticipation of starting phase 1 this summer.
Application amount of $2.5 million. Okay, council, I look for a motion and support for resolution 0125-19.
Motion.
Thank you, Jim.
Support.
Thank you, Jed. Any further discussion or any questions? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Next item I have on the agenda, unfortunately, January's been kind of some emergency spending happening. So we did have some issues at the library with the boilers. Both boilers were having a little bit of issue. Joel Anderson was able to come and repair one of them. But I did need to order one. So that $7,350 on the invoice that you see in your packet is the amount that we need approval for the boiler, and that's to install it. The other number is if we were to purchase 2 boilers, if we wanted to purchase an additional boiler moving forward. My recommendation would be for option 1 to approve that $7,350. You'd replace the one, and then with anticipation, we will probably have to replace the other one in the future. Yes. So this will come out of, we had budgeted, because we don't have the Honeywell contract anymore, so we had budgeted funds for repairs like this, that if they did come up.
Council, to start, I would look for a motion and support for option 1 of the boiler replacement at the library, $7,350.
Make the motion.
Thank you, April.
Support.
Thank you, Travis. Further discussion. How's everybody else feel about just doing the one or doing both? I kind of agree with Administrator Scrava.
What's the age? What's the age of the other one?
They're both the same. They're both the same.
So
they were both purchased at the
so
same
the
time.
day after we install the new one, the other one's going to blow too. Then.
Yeah, so then we could purchase them at that time. So we're not doing any cost savings by purchasing them together. So if it does last another 2 years, then we can purchase at that time too. But whatever you guys want to do.
Usually, new and old don't mix very well. So.
That's it. Whatever council decides.
I would like to purchase both of them. That would be my.
How much did we budget in that Honeywell?
30,000.
So this number would double if we got 2.
It would be 12,650. The second one does not include labor. So that would be the 7,350. Yeah. The reason why the second option does not include labor is because Joel said he probably wouldn't have to install it right away, and he would have to come back with that labor amount. Unless at install, the other one breaks. So it'd basically be a backup.
I don't see a point in replacing one that's not, that's still running. Because it costs the same either way.
Right.
I'm fine with option 1.
Yeah. Make a motion for option 1, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, I think we already had.
Yeah.
Yep. April and Travis.
Yeah.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Councilor Oliver.
Good evening. So the Lake Street Market's growing yearly. Our ultimate goal is to bring more people in our community. Myself, along with Kelly Harris, Starbreen, and the Chisholm Lions are asking the council for use of Lake Street between 1st and 2nd Avenue, again, like we did last year, and declare a citywide festival on the following Tuesday evenings, June 17th, July 15th, August 19th, December 16th. Time to run from 3 to 8 p.m. This will coincide with some music on Tuesday nights. that I think the library's putting on in town, in the park down there. The last 2 years, we were able to raise money for Precious Paws, the Chisholm Food Shelf, and had a table accepting donations for school supplies for the school, for the Chisholm School. So, yeah, it's been turned up. I'm already getting people contacting me for it. So,
Excellent.
so ask your guys' approval.
All right, council, I'll look for a motion and support for the Lake Street Market request, June 17th, July 15th, August 19th, September 16th, times from 3 to 8 p.m. Closing down Lake Street between 1st and 2nd Avenue, and declaring a citywide event, citywide festival.
Make the motion.
Thank you, Jim.
Support.
Oh, thank you, Marty. Thank you, Jim. You normally talk louder, Jim.
I can't.
Any further discussion? Jim supported. Marty made the motion. We used to have more diversity up here, you know, lighter voices, louder voices. All right, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you, Judge. Okay, doing a couple things under myself. Appointment to the library board for a 2-year term. 2 seats available. One for 2 years, one for 3 years. And I'd like to appoint Sina Pervenanzi to the 2-year term. So I'd look for that motion and support.
Motion.
Thank you, Jim.
Support.
Thank you, Jed. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And I would love to appoint Cheryl Killian to the 3-year term. Motion. Thank you, Travis.
Support.
Thank you, Jim. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, council, thank you very much. Unless there's anything else, I would look for a motion to adjourn.
Make the motion.
Thank you, Marty.
Second.
Thank you, April. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.